Hey, Laura J here with a message for day 7 of the 66 Days to Transform Your Self-Image series I've been releasing to the people who are signed up under ljeh.ca. So if you have not yet done so, please go and register yourself there. And then for today, let us say that whatever we are putting our energy into is where our attention is going, because where our attention goes, our energy flows, and vice versa. We have to be very mindful about what we are giving our attention to. We have to be cognizant, one of the faculties, cognizance. We have to be able to discern the benefit of something. And we can't just think about it in the short term. We have to think about it in the longer term. We have to be willing to recognize that right now we are in a spiritual war, and the territory being fought for is our bodies. We have to understand that we have to step up and actually say that I know best how to be mine own physician, because a physician is not required when there is self-understanding. Alberto Villoldo says that with the Homo luminous being that we are becoming now as our DNA changes and the 12 strands of DNA get activated, it is time for us to understand we can actually heal and create a new whole body. And we also have a chance to merge our soul with our Christ consciousness and become the walking Christ, who are simply the crowned ones, whose crown chakra began to receive a divine inspiration to the level where they were willing to move into the world as a force for the light. Well, I'm doing my best to play my part in self-actualizing, which is the pinnacle of what Maslow talks about in the hierarchy of motivational needs that we must all be aware of, because right now the bottom 3 are what are being most targeted, those being belonging, safety, and survival. I lost my train of thought, to be honest. And then I got to the place of realizing I could just edit out the part that was imperfect. And so then I could just breathe a little bit longer. And then sometimes when we get stuck, it's because we stayed in that for too long. And yet what we also notice is that collectively we are not sitting with the pregnant pauses long enough to actually find the answer that is there. And instead we make excuses for each other instead of answering the question. We just say, oh, they can't. Don't wait for them. Just let's carry on with the conversation because clearly they can't speak for themselves. Well, in this fight for territory, we have to understand that when someone else speaks for us and becomes the authority over us, the authority over our lives, ultimately when we give them permission to play that role, then we give our godly power, the I am presence, to another to do with as they please, which may be for us, but most likely will be based on their agenda. And what we must all understand is that no one wants to have to change, and no one wants the inconvenience of you changing for them to have to keep up, which is why, as we take a stand for what we believe in, others will try to tear us down. Spiritual warfare works that way. The brighter the light, the greater the shadow. We have to understand that as much as that is a reflection of someone stepping up, like what I'm doing my best to do by co-hosting a peace summit, I invite you to October 22nd from 4 till 7 p.m. over on Zoom. You'll get the details when you sign up for ljeh.ca once again. So my people are getting first row tickets to all that's happening in my attempt to bring peace to this world by recognizing that as much as we think that it is about what is happening on the outside, we also have to understand that within our own selves, we have a team too. We have a cheerleader and we have a devil. that sits on our shoulder. And each of them are there telling us what would be best for us, based on what they believe is best for them. One is the ego, and one is the soul. One is the part that came with us through all of our incarnations, and the other one is the personality or persona we have chosen to take on. So we have to understand that the one that has always been with us is always coming with us anyway. So what it means is that in order to get back to that, we have to take off the veils, which the ego will want to hold on to, because the ego edges God out. And no longer can we afford to not know that we all come from the same source, we all return to the same source, and we all feel safely separate from that same source while we're here, not safely, but feeling like we are in this on our own when we're not. We all came here together. It's just we have to understand we are the machine. We literally are the machine that runs all the cogs and wheels, because if we don't show up collectively, the machine doesn't run. If individuals within that machine don't show up, those cogs get replaced with new technicians and the wheels roll on. We have to understand that we are not as valuable independently. But no one of us is as smart as all of us, which is why we must come together, and why we must do it in the name of maintaining our sovereignty as leaders of nations, into and onto ourselves, planets, stars, sons, and daughters of the grand overall designer that created all that is, including us, microcosms of the macrocosm, holographic images. We are the holographic image of the grand overall designer. We are magnificent. We were made in the likeness and image of him, the one that created us all, her, it. Energy does not have a gender. But we do. And when we get confused about that, then everything else is confused too. Because identity is everything, and our gender has a big part in it. So does our culture. So does our place in society, in the system. So does our place within the tribe. And that all ties to our self-esteem bank account, which is what we are ultimately all fighting for, if we actually think about this. From a heart-centered place, we must understand that money is just a measuring tool for how aligned we are within our own selves. And sometimes it doesn't come in great abundance, but other forms of abundance do flow to us. And so that is why we must separate our self-esteem from our bank account, and to understand they are not the same accounts at all. Money contributes to the self-esteem account, but money cannot be the same account as what our self-esteem is, or when what is coming, when the reset takes place, that is when them who do will lose it all, truly. Not just their money, but everything they attached to that money being about who and whose they were. They don't necessarily make it about the whose where money's concerned, because most oftentimes people that have a whole lot of it acquired it in ways that were not necessarily equally beneficial to all other parties. So we have to be very conscious and aware about the fact that we are here as spiritual warriors, and that everything that we do is contributing to our karma. And it is held in the electronic belt of our 3 lower chakras, and then it also matches the higher belt that holds all of what could be the vortex, so to speak, by Abraham, the consciousness channeled by Esther Hicks, would describe. Abraham Esther Hicks has been a huge influence in terms of helping me find the emotional guidance system and then apply that to the apartment theory, which means that it's the same address but a completely different experience from the ground floor to the penthouse, depending on which floor we're at. And then if we take the emotions from the emotional guidance system that she talks about and actually apply that to the 22 different levels of experience within the emotional high-rise of awareness, then we start to understand that our perspective is completely determined by what emotional state we're looking at life through. These are the things that I look forward to sharing with you and wanted to do in less than 10 minutes. So we'll bid you adieu until tomorrow. Have a great day. Laura J. The light in me honors the light in you.